Proverbs 3:10. Ve'yimal'u asamecha sava, ve'tirosh yevkavecha yifrotzu. Now, the beginning of verse 10, we've got the vav. Now, this is a vav conjunctive, not a vav consecutive. And that's somewhat important because the vav conjunctive can be combining two verses like this, 3:9 and 3:10, in a way that is not necessarily just temporal succession, but can have a variety of logical conclusions or logical relationships. So we'll come back to that, but notice this is a vav conjunctive with that vocal schwa, not a vav consecutive. Now the verb that we're looking at is a nifal. Nifal imperfect. Verbal root is mem lamed aleph. And with this yod preformative and shurik sufformative, we are looking at a nifal imperfect third masculine plural. The third masculine plural subject here is your storehouses. And notice here we have the 2ms pronominal suffix on a plural noun. So your storehouses, plural, they will be full. They will be full. And so we have, and your storehouses will be full. And then we get this word sava down here at the end. And this word is having to do with being satisfied or being satiated, something like that. But it's a noun, it's a nominal. And so this is going to be one of those areas of what I would call an adverbial modifier of specification. In other words, specifically talking about the thing with which your storehouses will be full. And so here's how I would say this. And your storehouses will be full with satiation, or with your overflow, with your abundance, something like that. If you go to Halot for the word, you see something like satiation or sufficiency. Satiation is a hard word to say, but I think you understand where I'm coming from there. So your storehouses will be full specifically regarding the sufficiency. And that's why I think it's kind of this with idea, or what I would call an adverbial modifier of specification, specifying the realm in which your barns will be full, or the way in which your barns will be full. So there's that one. Now, in a great poetic fashion, we get a bit of what I would call chiastic parallelism here, because now we're going to get another vav conjunctive, but we're going to begin with the adverbial modifier of specification. Now we would get with wine. And again, the with is part of that understanding of the syntax of that adverbial of specification. With wine, your vats, we might say, or your this is like the lower part, the lower pool, or the lower part of a wine press where it gathers. So wine vats, wine press, it's all kind of part of this same piece, but this would be a reference to that lower pool where you would gather it. So maybe let's say wine vats. So now with wine, your vats, and now we get another verb. Here we have a call imperfect third masculine plural. Notice the yod preformative, shurik sufformative again. Verbal root this time is pe resh tzade. And the meaning here kind of more fundamentally is to break through or to burst, something like that. The breakthrough is a bursting of the lower pools of that wine vat. And so here we now get with wine, your wine vats, they will burst. Now, I'm going to erase these lines here, because one thing that I want to point out to you as well is this vowel right here. You might know or expect to see from your paradigm forms something more like the schwa that we have up here. So typically, when we get a ending or a sufformative that is only a vowel, that is what warrants R2 reduction, or the reduction of the R2 vowel to a vocal schwa. So this is what we're used to seeing. Here, we get the vocalic ending, we get the vocalic sufformative that is only a vowel, and yet we still have the full vowel written here, no reduction. The reason for this is because this is a pausal form. So the heavy disjunctive accent siluk plus sof pasuk here makes this a pausal form And this would be a way that you would lengthen that vowel out instead of letting it reduce based on the chanting pattern. So there you go. Then I just translated it and I didn't even talk about it. So here you go. What about this vav at the beginning? Let's come back to this vav at the beginning. So I noticed it was a vav conjunctive, not a vav consecutive. So it's not like and then your vine vats were full, right? And then your barns were full, as is the past tense vayiktol form. And so here I think that we've got this temporal logic that would be something like a then. And so if we go back to verse 9, I'm going to go back here, but I've got writing all over it. Honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your produce. Here's the logical relationship. Then your storehouses will be full with satiation, and with wine your vats will burst forth. And now, this I think is something related to just the reality of God's blessing on his people and his blessing on righteousness and generosity. I don't think that this is a promise in the sense of the prosperity gospel. If I give my first fruits, then my barns will be full. I don't think we want to understand it that way, but I do think that it is a testimony to God's faithfulness when he sees covenant generosity and covenant giving in the sense of honoring the Lord with your property and with the first fruits. Then you'll see the blessings of what God has given to you.